You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to this episode of Out of the Blank podcast. It's actually a special edition. I got my buddy Rob. What's up, Rob?
Hey.
So, Rob, you have a very nice name, man.
Thank you.
I like it. It's kind of similar to mine in a way.
Robbie and Rob.
So it's crazy because you were one of the first people that got me actually influenced onto doing the podcast. I actually Snapchatted you, messaged you, was like, hey, you know, I want to think about doing a podcast. And you're like, dude, you should totally do it. And I was like, okay. And then every episode I've had, you've basically tried to listen to. You've listened to like the full thing. You're like, dude, I'm on episode. I got to catch up. And I'm like, okay, like it's cool to hear that.
It's hard to keep up though. You've been busting them out.
I've been
nice.
trying, man. So your name's Rob Davis. For everyone out there that doesn't know you, you just got back from Germany. But before we get into that whole experience, I want to know what you do professionally.
Well, recently I've been in the Virginia area, close to DC, learning some audio-visual installation. And that's been keeping me busy. I'm used to hotel and restaurant work, so I'm kind of taking a step out of my comfort zone with this. And it's nice to learn, you know, all the technology coming out and everything, so it's going to be useful. It ain't going anywhere, so...
It's hard to keep up with how much technology we're producing. I mean, I can't even remember 10 years ago with, like, not having a phone or something like that. I remember walking to the bus stop with the freaking CD player in my pocket, man.
Right.
Blasted Linkin Park or Black Eyed Peas.
Now we got Spotify and everything.
Got the wireless headphones. You can't tell if
Yeah.
someone's like listening when they have their hoodie up. You're like, are they talking to themselves or like are they batshit crazy? Like what?
Yeah.
But it's cool, man. Because I mean, in a way, we're progressing in a good way, and like I always mention, we're doing it in a bad way too. Because I feel like we're getting way too advanced. Like when I walk up to my buddy's house, and you know shit's able to talk to me. Once you're able to control my toilet, I'm sorry, it's game over, man.
So true.
I need full control in that area. But so is that something you're looking to get into passion-wise?
Yeah, at least plans right now are to get this certification. It's CTSI, Certified Technology Specialist Installation.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get that certification, you can pretty much get a job with any company, but you're much more likely, you know, you show them that cert and I can make double what I'm making now.
It's like having a college diploma.
Right. Or I forget what the accounting test is, but like that CPA, maybe. But you know, you get that, and it just shows like a bachelor's, like college, shows the experience and the commitment you put into it. A step up from entry level, I guess.
This brings to a random question, but you definitely would put that on your resume for sure.
Yes.
But what was one thing that you would highlight exclusively on your resume? I can think of I can yo-yo.
Put yo-yo on the resume.
I haven't done much with my life, but yo-yoing, like, once I learned that, I was like, a lot of people do not know how to do it. Like, everyone just throws it on the floor.
It's a lost art.
I don't know why my brain went to that. I just immediately, like, I was at the store today looking at the little gumball machines, and they had the yo-yos in there. I'm like, it's full, so no one spends money on it. I'm like, yeah, because no one knows how to fucking yo-yo.
Walk the dog and
it's
all that.
It's a dead art. Like, people are like,
Yeah.
I want to learn Latin. How about you learn how to yo-yo, bro?
That's really old school.
But so where did that passion come from for audio technology? I know you did drums for a while, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say music. Like, I hope I'm not counting on it, but you know, one day, like I could assist in building a concert hall. You know, all that like wiring it up and the projectors, the lights and everything, and that's advanced stuff, especially those big stadiums and venues. But
did you have more of an idea of wanting to be like a roadie instead of a actual performer?
I thought about that, but
the way with your audio, I'm not talking about carrying the equipment, but like doing audio engineering with that, like setting up the concerts. It seems like that's more of your aspect there in the music, because you can stay in the music thing that I know you enjoy.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, that can't stop you from doing drums or whatever if you want to hop up on stage and test it out. But
Sound
it's
check.
like if you're doing the like wiring and stuff, that seems like something that might be a little bit more suited for what you're interested in.
I'm hoping that lines up. I'm going to try my best to make it happen, use my connections and people I meet along the way. I've already worked with some crazy companies. I've only been there a month. But
I know a couple bands that might be looking.
That would be cool.
The Road Citizens probably might.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, but there you go.
Shout
You could be
out.
their audio engineer. Get Rob on the backstage.
That'd be cool. I'd be down.
Then I definitely got to get an autographed CD with Rob on the back.
All of us autographed on there. That'd be cool.
It's
Who knows?
I just don't see the whole dude, when it comes to even on like wiring my controller, if it wasn't wireless now, I would not play video games anymore. I mean, just the whole aspect of the 50 minutes it takes to freaking unwire something. Like, dude, when I go downstairs, like if you look, all the
Tangled
cables are just shoved behind the TV. They're not lined up. Like people
Right.
tape them sometimes.
Oh,
I'm like,
we
I
zip
can
tie them
never-
and make them look nice, flush.
Dude, you're nuts, man. That's a freaking pain and a half, dude.
Oh, that's half the job. Cable management.
Good God. See but that gets. I just can't wrap my brain around it because, like, in my mind, like, I'm simple when it comes to stuff. Like when it comes to the basics of things, and when you're dealing with wiring, you got to catch up with so much stuff. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's like when you're dealing with audio engineering, there's so many different things that can go wrong. I mean, I had someone on my podcast, DJ Magellan. That's what he does. Like, he's all into that. So I'm like,
Okay.
I can hook you up if you need some on-hand training. Like when he goes out to a DJ gig, he might be able to help you out there. But it's like, you definitely got to have like constant experience in that. It's just like the HVAC field or something like that.
Yeah.
There's always something new to learn. There's
It's
always
a
new
trade.
technology coming
It's a
out.
trade,
It's
yeah.
like, but you can definitely make bank doing that, man.
Yeah, once that certification I was talking about, you make upwards of 30, 35 an hour. Just show them that's certain. That's the average pay for that. And
That's better than like a cable repair guy type job, just because those cable repair guys are, first of all, dicks, because they have all the power in the freaking world. They're like, I'll be in there between
So
4 to 5, and you're like, okay, and then you're here at 4. They don't come until like 9 o'clock at night. Like, I'm here, and I missed you. I'm like, motherfucker, I was waiting at my house on a Saturday for 4 hours.
I
Like,
got this shit scheduled.
yeah. They were like, well, you were in the bathroom. I was like, you wait. It's like on Grown Ups too, where he waits till the grandma goes into the bathroom. That's exactly what happens, man.
That is.
You need to start your own cable company. That'd be sick, because we can have a better cable service in Ocean Pines than
We need it.
Mediacom. Good God.
Comcast, Mediacom.
Their power outages
Yes.
happen at the worst time. Like right when you get home from work and you want to watch TV, it's like, oh, it's going to be out for the next 8 hours. You're like,
Thanks.
what?
Yeah. I'm still a noob to it, though. I've only been doing it about a month, so I'm definitely still learning, but picking it up well, I think.
You also enjoy a favorite game of ours,
Yes.
Old School
What are you
RuneScape.
going to say already? OSRS.
Shout out to that. I mean, holy crap,
We got the
man.
mobile version now.
Dude, you're on it constantly. I haven't played in forever. I hit like 99. Like, I try and invest. All right, for anybody that doesn't know out there, it's an old school, like classic, like MMO game, which is like kind of like World of Warcraft in a way. But like, you basically, it's an escape, okay? It's
Yeah.
basically like
It's shittier than WoW, but
like if you want to go back in
entertaining.
time and shoot a goblin or something, you can do that. So like this is where our inner nerd kind of comes out. But it's like
no stuff.
every time I'd get on it like 2 o'clock in the morning, there's Rob on the computer messaging me. You get to 99 yet? I'm like, damn it, Rob, I just got on.
No,
here."
we're cutting.
You're like, dude, I've been cutting for hours straight, grinding and out. I'm like, oh my god.
I'm addicted. I haven't been playing it much since I've been busy lately, but
For sure.
I've definitely
getting
put some
stuff set up.
hours into
Yeah.
that.
Now, that's a nostalgia thing for you too, right?
Yeah, because even the name Old School RuneScape, it's the servers from 2007. They kind of rebooted it before they made all the changes to make it more like WoW, more similar to WoW.
This brings the aspect I wanted to get to of Old School RuneScape, where it is the nostalgia effect.
Yes.
I really enjoy that. Like when you see everyone has experienced nostalgia in a way. I just went to Ollie's today in Salisbury. They sell the Wonder Balls, the old chocolate balls with the little candies inside of it.
Yeah.
The things that were discontinued like in 2003.
Yeah.
They had a box of them, like a whole case of them there. I'm like,
Wow.
oh my god, these were discontinued in 2003. Like, that's a childhood thing. You know, when you go into the store, there's still modern stuff you see today that brings back a sense of nostalgia. Fruity Pebbles, you know, those types of cereals.
Right.
There's always that certain item. But what about the
Memories.
shows that get taken off? Johnny Bravo, Courage the Cowardly Dog,
Rocket
the Jetsons,
Power.
stuff that, you know, woogity woogity, you know, all the stuff that gets taken down, and like it wouldn't be able to be played now. And this is something that I think we both can relate to, because first of all, that's something that we grew up with too. I mean, even though you're a little bit older than me, but at the same time, society, man. It seems like we have the same views on what's going on with society. So I want to get your whole idea of society in general. Do you think of it as we've taken a turn for the worse, or what? Give me your opinion here.
No, you're talking about technology earlier. That's definitely a big factor. You know, like how you were saying, it's good and bad. Like, progress is good. There's always going to be good and bad around that. It's not always going to be just good, or sometimes just bad, it seems like, but it's always going to be debatable. You know, there's always going to be different opinions on it. And society's a lot about opinions, I think, and coming together on those and supporting them, what we think is right.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I think I'm wording that like I want to.
I understand you 100%. It's like when, you know, when someone says they're like, that person's racist, that person's whatever, that's because they might be like that because of their upbringing. Where we say, like, you know, no one's born racist.
Right.
It's how they develop through life, the things that put them in a road. So, like, if you take two people, like I've mentioned this before, but, you know, someone in a good life, someone in a bad life, they might have two different, you know, one being super bad because he grew up in a bad life, or it could be the opposite. He could grow up to be super good and learn from his mistakes. It really depends on the person and the situation that they're brought up in and how they're around and how they wish to kind of turn it around. I don't believe people understand that. I believe, like, in my mind, everybody's on autopilot. But at the same time, we're looking so much to compare ourselves to each other in so many different ways.
Always,
It's like, what does this person have that I don't have? Or that person doesn't have anything. Or look how that person looks. It's constantly like that. We've all witnessed it in public, either when we have a good day or a bad day, where we, you know, snap, but just go in there, hurry up, come on, just pay for me. Come on, seriously, like, we've all had that. But it's like, yeah, it's best to keep that into your mind. But, you know, the reason why we're so pissed off driving all the time is because we're 100% aware. Like, we're way more heightened senses and everything going on. And it's like, I understand, but it's like, if you're going to talk on your phone and then I'm going to miss the light in front of me, that's something to get mad about. I try my best not to snap, but it's like, it's really hard because there's like these things, like you can break your finger or you can fracture it. There's like that with your ego and your spirit. You can break your spirit or you can fracture it. And it seems like there's always like someone throwing, like, you're holding up a pile of bricks and someone just keeps throwing pebbles on top of it. Like, eventually it's going to stack up unless you're unless you're releasing it. Which is when I come to the conclusion, like, we kind of need to, all of us, and even though it's much easier said than done, kind of learn to take the deep breath in life. You know what I mean?
Crucial.
It's like, it's something where you need to stop and, like, assert yourself. Be like, I'm here in this moment. This table's real. You know, I can feel this table. And it's like, just enjoy, like, certain sounds, or just take a minute just to chill for a second. Whether it's like, do something that's going to boost your social skill. It's like Sims, man. We have that social thing. We need to interact with
meter,
people. Yeah, we can't go Amish full 100 or mountain man and be out and secluded for the rest of our life. Right. It doesn't work out. Eventually they're going to need contact, or you're just going to go nuts talking to yourself all the time. And eventually when you do start talking to yourself, that's your body's way of trying to communicate with some social life. You know,
community is good. Have that sense of community and fellowship.
It's definitely something. I mean, that's the whole thing about MMOs too. Like, it's the whole aspect of bringing stuff together. You like how I turned that around?
Yeah,
so it wasn't just a random talk about RuneScape.
I've met so many friends on Scape that I like still have today from back in the day. And
my one buddy, if you ever see on Facebook, he's sharing all my podcasts. His name's Kelly.
Okay.
He's from Wisconsin. I've never met him before in my life, but I've been best friends with him for 9 years. I have his phone number. I've seen what he looks like. We send each other Snapchats. Like, he's supposed to be coming down. I'm trying to get him on the podcast when he comes down. I told him I'd fly him down here this summer. But it's like, Xbox did that. there's many articles in the news and like people reporting of like meeting someone for the first time after playing Xbox every day for like 10 years with them. They've been best friends online and they finally meet and then they're best friends. And obviously there's some scenarios where it's like, damn, I really don't like this person. I only like him in the video game. Like,
Right.
but it's cool because that's a beautiful way to look at technology if you look at it in that way.
Yeah.
But
things like Discord and the group chats on there now. Like, I was going to bring
especially,
back
like,
technology too.
what all the foreign kids use that come down here and they try and keep up with me, they all use WhatsApp app.
WhatsApp, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't have it, but it's like they can message me through Facebook, they can message me through whatever, but like even though the time zone's different, they're messaging me at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, damn, dude, like I'm trying to sleep, but
Yeah.
I want to talk to you. And it's like, it's cool because it brings us together. And I think if we look at technology in that way,
In that light, yeah.
if we start looking at things in a better light, you know what I mean? Whether it's like, oh, well, I just spent $15 on gas because now it's $2.50 a gallon. It's like, okay, well, you have gas in your car. If you take like the positive kind of sides to things, you know, those minor infractions get healed. So you're not letting it all pile up. You're slowly releasing those bricks off the top of your head, man.
Take a load off, right?
Yeah, and it's like, if we think of it that way, much where we say technology's getting too advanced, getting too crazy, there are bad stuff about it. Eventually, we're going to get to the point where we're going to create something that's probably going to be smarter than us, and we're not going to know how to control it. We've done it before,
Terminator.
but we ended it pretty quick. But like, it goes into that whole aspect of like, those movies, they're possible. They're happening. Like that stuff can happen. There's been so many secret government programs. If you've been like me trying to look at new episodes for my new series and my podcast, shout out. That was a self shout out.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah. Good. There you go.
Hey.
But it's like, I'm trying to like study stuff and get more into like interesting topics that a lot of people don't know about. Project Sunshine, you know, the Jedi Project, like all this stuff that I think is based off a movie. It's real stuff. It was stuff that happened. There's no one reported on it, but there's documentation. And it's weird to think. Do you think that's someone taking an idea from a movie, or do you think that's a movie producing from an actual thing that happened? It might be both.
Right, yeah.
I'm making you think on this podcast. It's a good thing you got a coffee in you.
Yeah, I get that latte.
What is it, double pump, fresh white chick?
Just a regular.
I love it because you were like, I'm at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm like, who the fuck goes to Dunkin' Donuts? Usually you get the answer Starbucks. Everyone's got a Starbucks in their hand.
I love some Dunkin'. I had some mimosas at Burley Cafe. Shout out to the Burley Oak Burley Cafe.
I've literally... I'm 21, but I rarely drink. So it was like, I've only been to Burley Oak, and I was like, can I get a root beer? They're like, what? Like,
That's good stuff too, though.
They
Handcrafted.
sell them in growlers and stuff. Shout out to them. Let's give them a plug, I guess.
Yeah.
Free sticker, please.
Yes, please. Do you like craft beers? Are you a craft beer guy?
Alcohol kind of affected my life in like a weird way. So I never got into it. I've just had bad experience with it. Like I drank a whole bottle of Fireball, and then, you know, I'm a big fitness guy.
Yes.
So it's like, I went to the gym after that, sweated nothing but cinnamon for 2 weeks. Now I can literally never smell French toast again or I'll puke. And then I can kill Jaeger
Fireball.
like it's nobody's business. Like I can kill 2 bottles. My brother was like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" So like I just choose not to drink because like I don't like the effect I feel at the gym the next day where I'm like, why do I feel so slow? And why am I craving the most amount of Taco Bell right now?
The hangover cure, Taco Bell.
Exactly. Now, who invented the hangover cure?
I think Taco Bell did.
Yeah, like some genius out there, really, really. You know, the guy who owns KFC, which is another hangover cure, Colonel Sanders, the real Colonel.
Yes.
He sold his company for $1 million.
Back in the day.
Yeah, and then he ended up suing for like 222 when it got big.
Oh.
It's like, oh shit, my chicken recipe was actually worth something.
And
And for the longest time, it was just pictures of white and black kids up on the walls eating chicken.
Yeah.
And then they finally, some kid put in there an Asian kid. And then finally they were like, all right, maybe we should start doing Asian people too. Maybe they like chicken. Maybe they like fried chicken. Who would have thought?
Everyone likes chicken.
So, one thing I do want to talk about, Germany.
Yes.
Please, for the love of God, explain to me your trip. What were you doing down there?
It was quite a time. I was there for 3 months. I was close to Ramstein Air Force Base. Had a family member who was in the Air Force, was visiting him up there, my cousin, and lived with him. Did some traveling. Germany's nice because it's right in the middle of Europe. You got Spain, you got the Netherlands, Austria, all these different countries right around. They literally make a circle right around Germany. And so it's perfect. It's cheap to live. 300, 400
Is it
bucks
better
a
than
month.
here, be honest?
Well, the winters
Or is
are
it just
still.
different?
It's just different. You don't get. There's places here where every house isn't the same, but there's a lot of suburbia here in America, and
Yeah.
the architecture in Germany was like one of the first things that stood out to me. Every house was different. They all had like different decks and porches
More
and structure.
Like a crafted older design.
Crafted,
I
yeah.
really
Most
enjoy that
definitely.
about a building, when you can actually walk up and see like the beauty of like the time and effort, like an old church or something like that. That's still
Yeah.
kind of that we
The
don't
churches
see too
out
much
there, man.
today.
Yeah.
Like you can see the work in architecture and like the amount. I'm obsessed when it comes to like the pyramids and stuff like that, because first of all, aliens.
Yeah.
And second of all, like the fact that like they're so like perfectly like in just infrastructure is just amazing on it. Like holy crap!
How
like,
a lot of that stuff lines up with
the,
other.
the intricate designs and stuff, and then we see like the same homes around here that are constant. Like everyone's looking the same.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, like, can we get a little sense of variety? You see the one house out of all the white houses that's painted pink or something, you're like, that guy's got an idea, he knows what's up, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, out there, some houses are just orange, some are gray and stone, some are like wooden panels, like a lot, very much variety.
Beautiful countryside type deal.
Oh yeah, the mountains, a lot of windmills out there. The power, the alternative power, they're huge on that. You can't drive 20 miles without seeing a windmill, and they're huge too. That's
Older windmills, or are we talking about the
like
newer?
the new ones, the electric,
Oh, my.
like air power. Yeah,
They're revolutionizing.
they are. I think Germany's the largest country with that right now. I think they're the most ahead on that right now.
I think they're trying to be very positive from what they get known for.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
That's the
basically,
thing.
that makes sense. Your family lives in Germany because you're Hitler's perfect image. You and your brother are blonde hair, blue eyes.
Pale ass skin.
Yeah.
I use my forearms as flashlights sometimes.
You use
They're
your
white.
forearms as flashlights. Hey, Rob,
Just
come
glow.
over here and take your jacket off. Just light up the whole room.
Wah, 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 wah.
Hey, at least you can crack the pickup line, like, hey, when I come into the room, I light it up because you're so pale. No, but that's cool, man, because like I'm from here, I'm born, raised here. My family's like England and all that, but like that was way back in the day. And I don't go that far into Ancestry.com to figure out. Like I'm found out I'm 3% Nigerian.
Oh wow.
Apparently, I mean, we all stem from Africa, apparently, but like, I
Right.
can't walk around and be like, "Yo, what's up, Playboy?" Like,
I'm Nigerian.
I can't act urban in front of a whole bunch of like people like that, because they'd be like, "What? You're not black?" I'm like, "What? But why is that a thing? Why are we stereotyping that?" Now, is that different in Germany? Do you see a lot less racism there? Do you see a lot less like?
It's not it wasn't as in my face out there. Like I'm sure there's still people that, like we were saying earlier, don't know any better or
Advocate towards it.
yeah, but you hear about it in the news every day here. It's like I can't help but it'd be a subject. Like I mean, it is a relevant issue, obviously, but
Like my one buddy, John Bunk, travels, like spends like, he's like, dude, it's cheap. He just flies. Like I'll be like, hey man, you want a podcast? And he was at my house like 2 days before. He's like, no, dude, I'm in Libya right now. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Where'd you go in Libya for? He's like, dude, I just wanted to go. I'm like, damn. Like, he wants to be one of the people that work for like the United diplomatic community, like 'cause his dad's in the government, so he wants to do that.
United Nations or something.
Yeah, like something like that, where he wants to be like a diplomatic person, like goes to different countries and tries to create foreign policies and stuff like
Okay.
that. Like he went to Jordan, that's one of his favorite places. He went to Egypt, he went to all these places. Showed me like a bunch of pictures, but he's real
Egypt.
fascinated with like he would go there and he's a really good skater. He would teach the kids how to skate who's never skated before. He would do like He would go live a life, go on adventure. He's like, yeah, I spent $15 a day at a hotel. You know, the most expensive thing's the plane ticket, and then you just feed yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm all about like, because I mean, I get a coin accidentally. You know, you get change from the store or something. You get like 75 cents. You put it in your piggy bank. Next thing you know, you go to Coinstar. You dump it all in there. Half the damn thing is Canadian or something where the machine won't take it. You're like, okay. So what I started doing is I got a Canadian coin. I got like a Russian coin. I got all these different coins. I want to get all these different coins from all these people. Now, I'm not a weirdo. Leave me alone. But I'm like, it's cool because like their currency's different. So it's like, it's different. I like different. Like, it's the main reason why I like talking to people. And I like hearing their passions because everyone's different from me.
From perspectives
like,
and...
Yeah, it's like we all got different ideas, different
The
views
euro.
on
I'm
things.
still used to the euro being out there for a couple months.
Now, did you feel like you adopted a certain accent when you're down there? Because I feel like sometimes I go to New York, I end up like coming back here like, let me get a salami sandwich. Hey, with the mustard.
No, because with Ramstein, that the area I was in is the largest concentration of Americans outside the U.S. So it's very Americanized there. Like they all learn English in school. It being so close to the Air Force Base, most of the time we'd go there to shop and stuff. You know, we would. But they have American companies. Like I don't know if Aldi is American, a grocery store, but they had like Aldi out there and.
Do they have a Walmart?
No, they have a Globus, which is like just a big mart.
Oh, fuck is a Globus?
Globus, Globus.
That's crazy.
You walk in, there's a bunch of beer, a bunch of drinks, and then it's just a big mart, and then...
So alcohol is pretty popular there.
Yeah.
That's what they're fucking known for. Oktoberfest. You didn't go in October, did you?
I got there the 30th, so I got settled and no more Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Shit. Damn. Now, do they dress like that and all that? Like, they dress normal. They don't dress like lederhosen and...
No. Maybe for like celebratory, they might throw a little lederhosen on, but
yeah,
it's pretty casual. A lot of like one piece, long sleeve shirts and sweaters out there, but nothing too crazy.
The temperature's a lot different. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, you went. What was the food like, dude? Because I know the one thing they get stereotyped for is eating that Wurst sausage, whatever it is, that friggin' heavy sausage. I can't stand that stuff, man.
I had a schnitzel out there.
You had a schnitzel?
Schnitzel.
Were there schnitzel stands all over the place?
Not really. Like the Christmas market, they had a couple stands, but I went to Bistro, is where I had the schnitzel I had. And
Say schnitzel for me.
a lot schnitzel.
Say it slower.
Schnitzel. Oh, schnitzel. But a lot of good sushi out there, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah, that threw me for a loop. All you can eat sushi places, quality sushi. This one place we would go and get a sushi for two. It was called the Kama Sutra, and it was just 8 different kinds of rolls. And
Did they have a Chinese person working in there?
oh yeah, it was all Asian Chinese.
That's what I can't stand is when someone's like, I want to go to an authentic Chinese restaurant and they have to pick a place with an Asian working. I'm like, that doesn't mean they know how to cook.
That was a good place though. They're very that's another thing. They're pretty diverse out there.
That's good. At least they're open.
Yeah.
You know, we're not even that diverse here. Well, I mean, we are very open. Like, good part about us, we are very open. But it's like, it seems like everyone's still kind of closed off from everybody. Did you feel a little bit more comfortable down there than you would here? Like, if let's say I change your race. You can be anything you want. You can be an alien if you want.
Oh.
Do you feel like they'd be open to you? More than down here?
I think so. Eastern Shore's weird. It's weird being back. But
well, just the United States in general.
The U.S. in general. Okay.
I feel like
this vicinity.
Eastern Shore's kind of like a little bit open compared to what the West is like, just because the West is a little bit more open space.
Yeah.
And for East Coast and this whole like side, like going east south, is like all really really like kind of jam packed together. But once you start going towards like Texas and Nevada and all that stuff, where like the major, unless you're in the major population area, you're out in like country land.
The Midwest.
Kind of. Yeah, like it's like you're dealing with so much open space where they're a little bit raised, a little bit different. They don't have the communication. We're so open because we're we see everybody in public every day.
Yeah.
So it's like we're getting the whole experience, whether you're Indian, whether you're Asian, whether you're, black, white, we're getting the whole cultural thing. But for someone that's like out in like Texas, they're stereotyped for being like racist.
Certain parts
like
of
that.
Texas.
Yeah, because like, it's all like, like that type, like they get stereotyped for that, even though a lot of them aren't like that. But it's like, that's because they're so kind of back in the Stone Age a little bit compared to where we're all fast production, fast growing, and like
Industry.
if you go to Hawaii, they're so close to Asia. Like there's nothing but Asian people there.
You have that influence, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous. You can't even walk. But like,
Different cultures.
If you went to Japan, they're all bumping into each other and not apologizing. If you do that here, people apologize. But when you see it done here to you by an Asian person, that's how you can usually tell if they're from there or not, because it's not I guess ignorant to not apologize. It'd be ignorant for us to bump into each other and then be like, oh, not say sorry or anything, because we know better. But they grow up in where the population is so heavy that they can just bump into each other and it's just common courtesy. Like, you don't even need to say sorry. We're just
They're accustomed to it.
And, in Canada, it's all open like that. So it's like,
Wilderness.
they bump into each other. Like, oh, sorry there. Would you like a powdered jelly?
Right.
Something like that. Like, they're all a little bit more like open space. That's a weird thing, man. I definitely think like it's just like having 20 people in your house compared to having 5. You want eventually you're gonna want a smaller house where you don't feel like you're on top of. You know what I mean? We've all experienced
New
the
York,
bunk bed.
New York City, Manhattan.
Don't even get me started on New York. So where it comes to the food, now in Japan they got sushi stores, like sushi, like little like vendors on the street.
Right.
And then like New York's got the hot dog, and then we all got our resonant symbols. What did Germany have? They had to have a vendor out on the street selling something. Sauerkraut.
The Christmas market was the really best thing I could relate to that. Like handcrafted
Clogs.
Yeah.
Were they actually big down there?
Clogs?
Yeah. Or that's Switzerland.
It might be more Switzerland. I don't recall any clogs.
They're all beautiful blondes, so it's
yeah.
Throw them in the same thing. Now, do they apologize to you when they get there? Like, just like, sorry about Hitler, and then like, welcome to Germany? Like, is that on the pamphlet?
No.
Because like, that's what they're known for. Like, when America won and all that stuff happened, we didn't just put them in debt. We literally like, we
threw some
embarrassed
bases in
the
the country
shit out of them. We're like, hey, like, we made them look so bad to the point where they're never going to recover. We gave them so many sanctions and so many like things, restricted them on so many things where they're like, we're never going to be a power anymore.
Yeah.
They almost took over, dude, and they would have too if they probably would have had a little bit better leadership and a little bit more resources. But it's the one quote Bill Burr mentions where where the Germans created a tank that was like 5 American tanks, but we always had 6. So it was like, we're like McDonald's cranking out tanks, cranking out a bunch of stuff at once, like heavy population stuff, and then next thing you know, they're cranking out but the better stuff. Like when we would kill them in war, we would pick up their weapons and use their weapons because their weapons were way better. Right. We throw ours in the dirt because they're just cheap. They were just manufactured to get as much out as possible.
Right.
So it's like that's where I can enjoy their buildings and stuff, man, because like they're built to last.
Quality.
Here, we get an earthquake, half these houses are coming down, man. They're like plastic basically. This house is getting built down the street from me.
Yeah.
That's been like it's been sitting there empty lot for the longest time, and there's one even down the street from that. In a month they built that. Barely in a month. And they've only worked on it probably 6 or 7 times. They just get it all done in one day. I'm like, holy crap. Get the structure built and then get the paper on there. And it's like, really, man? But, dude, they do it at the worst times, dude. Like, late at night, I'm like, God damn. Shit.
I think Ocean City's going to sink one day. They're going to build too many buildings on there.
Oh, for sure. You have water on one side. You have water on both sides, but ocean on one side, bay on the other, and the bay is swamp. Right. So it's like, you have a bridge to get over into Ocean City. And it's like it used to be connected to Assateague, and that's got disconnected after the flood or whatever that was. The storm, yeah. And then like it's gonna definitely it rains a little bit. The sewer system can't drain out all that water.
Downtown already is.
Yeah, it's already floods.
Gosh, I can only hold so much steel. You know,
You got to
steel and-
basically live on the third story to be good.
right.
Everyone else is kind of screwed. It's like Vegas. I was in Vegas and it flooded,
Oh,
and they're in the desert,
yeah.
so it can't soak up. So like when it rained,
Wow.
it rained at night, and the water was all flooded in the lobby in the hotel downstairs. I slept through it surprisingly, but my grandmom's like, yeah, the whole hotel was flooded, and I come downstairs and they're like vacuuming up the carpet, getting the casinos cleaned up, and I'm like, they were on this like in a minute, and it's like, oh, it happens all the time. If the water can't soak into the sand, it's just too dry, so
So
it just
stays above.
piles up until slowly
above
it
ground.
just drains down. I'm like, that's gotta suck.
How was Vegas? Did you gamble or
I was way
roam the
too
strip
young.
a little bit?
I was like,
Oh,
I went when I was 12, and then I went when I was like 16.
okay.
And the only thing was they had, you know how we had like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon cards?
yeah.
They had
Oh, yeah.
naked chicks on the cards, and the guys were handing them out in the street, like
Oh.
in front of like all like the tourist attractions.
Mhm.
But I was with my grandma, so like I went up to some guy like yeah, and they're not supposed to give it to you when you're underage like that. But he just gave me a whole stack, and I was like going, and my cousin had him under his foot, and he was dragging him with his foot, like trying to get him home without my grandma seeing. Dude, I had a bunch of them. I ended up just like throwing them out. I was like, oh, they're stupid. We were playing Pokemon with them. Like, I got blonde hair chick, 20s, porn star, go,
I summoned double D.
attack 1600, and like it was stuff like that. Like, you know, has 4 kids. Yeah, that's the downside. It's like a side effect. But it was like it was cool, man. I love this. The main thing I was attracted to was not just the cards, but the stonework of Caesar's Palace, because they had all the Greek statues. I'm
Oh,
obsessed with Greek mythology, like ancient Greece. You know, all the statues they're not white. They have a very light paint on them that's faded from so many years.
Oh, really?
Same thing with the Mona Lisa. She had eyebrows. A
And
lot
they
of people
faded.
don't know that. They faded in from all the years of wear and tear. Isn't that nuts?
Their history out there. They got a couple years on us. And by a couple, I mean.
I'm just fascinated with like ancient history, man. I think that was the main thing I wanted to go to school for, was to learn more about like Greek mythology,
Like
not
BC.
teach it, just educate myself and stuff. Because when I'm reading a book, I think it's the fascination. It's like reading a superhero comic.
Yeah,
'Cause you hear
it's
these
almost
legend-
surreal.
You hear the legend of Hercules, and they make it like it's a belief. It's a legend, but it's like it's a belief down there. It's not like someone making up Spider-Man. Like, we know that's a fake story based on like Peter Parker, or you know, and but like when you hear like Hercules, like, did that actually happen? Like, was that something, or was it like really dramatized? The same thing when
Was
people
there
get
Hercules in actual history?
yeah, like people get the aspect of like Jesus. Was he real? Was he? You know what? Was he down here? It's like, not to get into the whole like sensitive subject about that, but it's like I can see where people can follow Christianity. I can't wrap my mind around it, but at the same time, I'm not going to knock somebody who does it. As long
Right.
as you're not promoting your views towards somebody else, you don't bother me. I don't care.
Yeah, teach their own, I say.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather go around preaching about Hercules, like.
Yeah.
That movie with The Rock, I mean, holy shit. Like, you can't knock that, man.
Right.
I'm just obsessed with, like, thinking that there's a Medusa out there that turns men to stone, and she was cursed like that because she was more beautiful than one of the goddesses and won the heart of another man that they were both competing for. And since she's a goddess, she was like, I'm supposed to be the prettiest one. And then freaking turned her face into a snake, and every guy she looks at and all this stuff gets, like, turned to stone. Like, to hear that,
cursed.
like... They're giving like a power to a god, and then they're making him selfish and just at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy because we popularize our God as like, or the Christian God as like almighty, knowing. He doesn't intervene, so that's where he's just. But it's like, when you hear these legends, you're hearing more of like someone that can relate more to us instead of being an all magnificent being sitting on what's the standard God version? It's an old white guy standing on, or sitting, or Morgan Freeman, or sitting on a gold throne, like watching you at that like down on Earth, like being able to
From the
like,
clouds.
you know, yeah, do stuff like that. Maybe he's some dude on Mars wearing virtual reality and Crocs. You know, you don't even know.
Yeah.
He'd be anything you want to be, and it's like that's the beauty of like belief and just imagination in general, which is, I love the idea of just creativity. Someone that can spark an image from their mind is like music, movies, you know, all this stuff. You're creating something. I mean, do you have something that you've ever created where you've kind of looked back and been like, damn, like that was a freaking sketch and a half.
Well, even.
It's a good one. Good question.
Hey, that is a good question. That is a good question. Well, music, of course. You're just jamming and a little melody or something, and you're like, "Ooh, that was nice. That felt good."
That was a pretty little ditty.
Right. Or a badass beat, or
See, that's what I like, because like where you would find inspiration and awesomeness in that, like being able to create a beat or something, I find inspiration in being able to like morph a word or like see an image and like paint a picture. Like,
poetry.
it's like different, like
Yeah.
where people express themselves in different ways of like hobbies and skills. That's the one thing I love about people.
Another, like the ability for humans to project what they want to, manifest and solidify and build. Like with this trade lately, looking at these blueprints, you have the idea of it. We pull the cables or put the beams up to make it a real thing. Like just the...
How do you think of that? Like, how do you see it? Like, because in my mind, I'm thinking of it, you're looking at like a car, where you're like, a mechanic looks at a car to take it like apart.
Yeah.
And put it, you see all the little working
all the different pieces
and all the moving cogs, and you're like, you got to figure out what's not working, what's working, what's going to be able to put together. It's the same thing when you look at wiring. You got to figure out what's being connected to which power source, which is going where. Is that how you look at it, like a map, like a blueprint, like a schematic?
Yeah, it is. Like this audio visual, we have the blueprints and the rooms and the path that we're supposed to take, but then we got to figure out the other trades. We got to go around them or through them, and they got to go around to our wires and working together. And but I'm in the installation portion of it. There's also the design, which is more like what we're talking about, printing and designing the actual blueprints and just
trying to put all those pieces
It's like a puzzle, I guess. It's like a puzzle.
You say you love it when it all comes together.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Finished product.
That's a good aspect for how we kind of should think of people. Everyone's like a puzzle. We're all trying to put the pieces together. Yeah, we're all trying to put the pieces together to make it fit. But when are we finally the completed piece? Are we ever the completed piece?
I don't think we ever are. I think it's always something.
Da Vinci said art is never finished, just left undone. So
and he had a lot of work that he
was never finished. He never finished anything. He considered the Mona Lisa never finished. And you're like, you look at that like it's perfect. Yeah.
Right.
So what's the ideal image for being perfect?
I'd say that's art too, kind of summed up. Like,
but the way we look at people being, that's a perfect person. That's an idea. Why did society play that idea of the image being perfect when we've learned through history and so many times that, nothing is ever perfect. We're told so many times as a kid nothing's ever perfect, but then we're looking at these people like they're gods, or they're, like perfect in image in every single way. It's like they're all pieces working together too. Just certain benefits to one and certain downfalls to another. Where they're beautiful at something, they might be shitty at making IKEA furniture. So, which one benefits in that situation? Well, if she chooses the modeling path, then bam, she's using her skill to her benefit, her beauty to her benefit. But
so no one knows everything.
Even like if you ask God the question, how was he created, then what's he going to say? He wouldn't probably know the answer.
Maybe he doesn't know.
So it's like we're so captivated by the idea of getting and gathering knowledge and becoming the smartest beings out there. It's a good way to progress when we're trying to stay on top of like things out here that can harm us, staying on top of things like maybe curing certain illnesses. I love that whole idea.
You seen those posts about HIV being cured? It's been like 3 in the past 2 or 3 months or something.
What?
It's been cured.
HIV is now completely like curable.
Well, I don't know about completely, but I've seen a couple articles of cases of it being
it's
cured.
HIV/AIDS, right?
It's like the prequel. If that's the right word.
It's fucking Star Wars 2.
You get HIV and it like develops into AIDS, from my understanding.
Michael Jordan needs to get on that. He's got AIDS.
MJ?
Yeah, he had him a long time ago. He still's got him. I don't think you ever get over it. Once you get the cure, apparently. So do you believe in vaccinating your kids?
I wouldn't vaccinate my kids. I was never vaccinated, so I wouldn't vaccinate my kids.
That's why you're such a crazy individual. Yeah, like What'd you get when you were in Germany? You got some type of malaria or something like that.
No,
You know,
I was healthy.
the
You
medication
get sick
for
once over there.
malaria can get you sicker than actually getting malaria. But malaria kills half the people that have ever lived. Isn't that weird?
That is.
But the number
That's hard
one
to wrap my head
killer,
around.
the number one killer is diarrhea.
Really?
That's nuts.
That is.
That's understandable. You get so dehydrated. I think we've all witnessed that Taco Bell shit where you're like, you need an IV afterwards, or at least like a couple Powerades.
It's just physically draining.
I love how like our conversation's going from super educated to like world
Taco Bell
views
shits.
to like Taco Bell shits and needing to be IV'd afterwards.
I know you like a lot of Joe Rogan. He's good at that too.
You gotta put comedy. I feel like
Him being a comedian.
yeah. Well, two things. Whether you don't like his views or not, he has very interesting people on there. My favorite is Christopher Ryan, who is like he's a historical like type person, but you know
I've seen that one. Yeah.
he told me, or he mentioned a book on the podcast about someone trying to change their microbiome. So what the guy did was he blasted water from Africa up his ass.
Oh.
And tried to change his microbiome, which is like the microorganisms that are, you know, how
The chemistry of it.
yeah, like, well, you know how our genetic makeup is like, whatever we
Biology,
eat,
yes.
it goes in our body, and it's like our body changes cells every 30 days or something like that.
Mhm.
It's like that. So if you shower in Africa water and drink Africa water and just drink nothing but like that whole cultural and environment, it's going to be different than what you're going to feel like here.
Mm.
So it's going to be different from what you're consuming here. So it's like, if we brought a kid from Africa who's been living off that water for all that time, they bring him here to have fresh water. It's like when you travel into the countryside somewhere and the air's cleaner. You know what I mean? It's that same thing.
Yeah. You
So-
can feel the difference with that air.
This guy was blasting Africa water up his ass and doing all this stuff, and he was getting sick from it. So Christopher Ryan was like, yeah, I'm reading the book about this guy that's blasting water up his ass.
Mm.
And then, I'm dumbing it down here, but it's like, the dude was like, he was at a bar in Australia, and the guy was like, yeah, that's my buddy. And the dude goes, what? And he goes, yeah, he wrote the fucking book. And then he points over to the guy. It's the dude that wrote the book that he was reading.
No.
And they just connected
Right.
and decided a podcast. I was like, see, that's the best part about having. He has the same mobile recorder I do.
Oh, wow.
It's the same thing. Like, I want to go out,
nice.
like, when I started my other series was to educate people more on a subject. So if I pick a certain topic, found something crazy, type in the top 10 weirdest government conspiracies, pick one, research into it heavily, you get into real programs and real stuff. And that's just not just that. What's the history between Pringles? What's the history between... Everything has a story, has a backstory to it, you know? Much like someone's life does. Someone that has an experience, someone has an interesting story to tell. Well, all objects that have been created and processed in through someone's mind, whether it's music, art, an object, you know, your phone, your shoes, your fingernails, they all have a crazy story behind it. You know, Henry Ford was a racist. Did you know that? He had a paper called The Dearest Independent that popularized Jews being the cause of the world's evil. Hitler wrote a book.
Mr. Ford.
Hitler wrote a book. You probably know this because you're Hitler's son. But he wrote a book that said it was called Mein Kampf. In the book, he says, he literally gives credit to Henry Ford for being a activist or an advocate for the hating Jews in like his works of his newspaper and everything. He mentions the newspaper and mentions Henry Ford by name. Henry Ford
reviews as Hitler.
Henry Ford received the German Eagle, which is the highest decorated medal from the Nazis.
Oh, wow.
And that's a stated fact too. You know who else was a huge Jew hater? And actually a very bad person?
Who?
Walt Disney.
Oh, really?
You ever heard of that?
No.
Apparently all these record accounts from all of his
He's a
workers
crazy
said he
individual,
was
though.
a terrible person. They said that he was a horrible person, that he stole ideas, he treated them like crap. He did all this stuff. So when you look at the dark side, everybody's got a dark side. But which side gets publicized more? But which side is the one you advocate to the most? The dark side or the good side? Henry Ford created the 2-day weekend. He created Saturday and Sunday off for workers because he believed doing that would have them spend more money on cars, so there's the bad side of it, but also be more happy and productive at work, making him overall money in the best way.
Mm.
You know, the guy who invented cornflakes
Mm.
created a beautiful cereal, delicious,
Kellogg's.
amazing, but its real purpose was its belief was to stop people from masturbating. They believe
that work?
They believe that the flakes were so bland
Yeah.
or bland,
Yeah.
that you wouldn't want to masturbate. And he popularized it. And he was like a giant, hated the sex, it was all against sex, anti-sex movement and all that. And he actually died of a sexual transmitted disease. So he was a freaking
How ironic.
hypocrite.
Yeah.
But it's like all those things, like Henry Ford creating the 2-day weekend, where he thought people would spend more money on cars of his own. Well, they did. You know, and they made them more money too. And also, like Walt Disney, he bought the Mary Poppins book or the whole series, like the whole idea of it, and then, you know, produced a movie of it, but paid the woman a lot of money for it, and then wouldn't let her go see the movie when it came out. Wouldn't let her have anything to do with Mary Poppins. Didn't want
Banned her
anybody
from
to
it.
know that she created the idea of Mary Poppins. He did those types of things. And it's like where we see people in like the best image and the best perspective, but what took it to get to those steps?
Yeah.
What do you want to step on everybody's throat on your way to the top, or do you want to do it? It's going to be the harder way, but it's probably going to be the most satisfying in the long run. You
Being
think
honest.
the Buddhist monk that reaches enlightenment through the actual road of enlightenment is, you know, it's the same thing like getting your black belt. When you earn it, it's different than if you just paid for it. You know what I mean? It's something where like you got to
The
think
journey to get it
so how do you want to reach
is what it represents.
how do you want to reach your goals in life? How do you wish to pursue that? Do you want to do it in the best way possible where you're not afflicting anybody else, or do you want to, do you not
I try
care
to
who
keep
gets
things
stepped
honest.
on in the way?
I try to be honest and upfront, and I try my best to be anti-conflict, you know, because if I feel like when there's a problem, it's because people make a problem. Like, you asked me about racism in Europe. Like, they don't make it a problem, so it's not a problem there.
Yeah, they don't
Like,
bring it up. Yeah.
They don't need a solution because they just, people are people out there.
It's the one thing, I mean, that's a great quote right there. People are people. I'm going to have to write that down. People are people.
You heard it here.
They're not
Out of the
penguins.
Black Podcast. Right? They're not.
But it's like, it's crazy because like down here we're so sensitive. It's like the main thing we want to do is like when we see someone of a different culture than us, we're like, hey, we're not racist. Hey, I'm open to you. I love all colors. I love all genders. You know, especially when you're like, when I'm hanging around with black people, the one thing I want to say is like, hey, I like black people too. It's like, why do I need to feel the need to say that? I don't say it, but it's like, I shouldn't feel
Why
that
is that a
way.
thing?
I shouldn't feel like restricted to being open about myself, letting them know like, hey, this is what I got to say, so we're on the same level, we're open to each other.
Right.
It's like we should just all know that people are people. You know,
Yeah.
we're different in ways, but it's like, do we have to outline those? Do we have to justify? Do we have to compare ourselves to be different from other people? It's just not fair.
Mm. We all have our own experiences.
And it's all like,
good and bad.
you know, society history is written by the winner. It's like at the same time, you know, did we really win? Because we're so much like this, and there's so many other countries that are benefiting from that. Where it's less racist. It's like it doesn't seem like we're the winner, even though we, you know, apparently pwned Germany, and you know, we schooled them into the dirt and made them like never going to be able to be a power again, like never be a supreme force like they were before. Yeah, that's a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, are we truly the winner of this situation? Like, imagine if Germany controlled here. Would it be the same thing here? Or would it be, you know, would we still be racist or closed off or a little bit like, feel like the need to highlight?
In our history, we're the winners, and their history, I don't know.
I feel like they probably messed up.
Yeah, I guess. They're like, we supported this guy, we fucked up.
Well, they were being brainwashed in a way, too. I mean, mostly Hitler was, like, brainwashing them, you know, with his speeches. Like, do you honestly think if someone talked to them now, where they're more in, like kind of, like, knowledgeable on some things, like, if they were educated, like, if he was speaking to them, like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, like, do you think they'd be open to it? I don't think they would. I think they would definitely be like, you're fucking nuts.
If the same situation occurred and Hitler started rising up, they would just shut him down.
Bill Burr has the joke. He goes, imagine if Hitler was black. he'd be the crazy person on the bus, you know, like the guy that walks in like, oh, this guy, and he's the one ranting on
The crackhead.
the bus, like, oh yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to kill the Jews. Like, you know, if they was really saying that, you know, people would be like, all right, this guy, and then after 20 minutes, Hitler wouldn't even been a thing. Like, he wouldn't be all like that. It's the same thing you hear. He talks about how you hear Kanye West talking, and Kanye West like,
He's
I'm a
been
god,
wild lately.
you know, it's like, holy crap, you see this person is batshit nuts. It's like, it maybe if Hitler wasn't like disguising his words and using such charismatic skill, we'd look at him. I mean, the people would have looked at him at the time like, hey, this guy's just batshit nuts. Don't even pay attention. He would have been sitting on the street talking to nobody, you know. But he was so popularized because when he was a kid, he did so many great things, and at some point took a turn for the worst. I feel like some Michael Jackson type person kind of did something to him.
To Hitler?
He had to have something happen to him along the road. You don't just turn dark,
That
man.
fucked him up, yeah. Who knows? Oh, I think he wrote an autobiography.
Mein Kampf. That's the book.
Okay.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
That is.
When
Mein
he mentions
I
the
know I
great
heard that
Jew
before.
hater Hitler. Not Hitler. No.
Ford.
Henry Ford. No, it's just like, I wonder if he had a road where it took a turn. Like one Jew at the store was like, "Hey, fuck you," and like kicked him or something. And he was just like,
He's like, I'm gonna kill
I
all of you.
hate the Jews now.
Ugh.
I think we all experience going to the store. This is a giant dramatic comparison here, but going to the store and getting an ice cream flavor or something we don't like, and then not liking it ever again, not wanting to buy it ever again. Maybe that's what Hitler had. He went to the ice cream shop, or the what do you want to call it? The Rosenfields or Rosenfelds.
Yeah. To the
and wanted
devil.
a pastrami sandwich, and the dude only had ham.
Next thing you know, he's got a grudge against
Son
fucking.
of a bitch!
Yeah. 999.
Mr. Goldberg, you die. It's weird to think, man.
Maybe some mental issues though. I feel like he had a lot going on up there.
Do you think he was plagued with sickness? I mean, his wife was in a
Had to
wheelchair,
be,
right?
but he had to be smart to do all that too.
His wife was in a wheelchair, like had mental problems and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure, you know.
Just like disabled.
And at the ending, didn't he shoot her, shoot his dog, and shoot his kid, and then shoot himself?
I think so.
He
I've heard
killed his
multiple.
whole family and then killed himself because he thought he was going to be captured.
Right.
You got to think, man. It is. We look at that like that's a sick guy, but it's like maybe he was damaged, but at the same time he was trying to make sure that his wife didn't go through any torture. They were going to torture her for all the things he did, whether he was alive or not. You know, see if she can get any information out of her. I mean, Helen Keller wasn't as good as we thought she was. You know, she had some crazy things too. And Stephen Hawking's wife even talked about how he was super controlling. Stephen Hawking, the man that can't move his arms, that has an
Talks through
almighty
the
brain.
box.
Literally, he is the definition of God's cruel joke. You make a man super smart with this brain power that
Wow,
exceeds
yeah.
anything, and then you put him in a body that doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's like you being able to speak in like Martin Luther King words, and not you be a mute. So all the thoughts are just in your head. You're plagued with like burden. And it's the same thing. They gave Martin Luther King, if you believe in the whole idea of God and everything, I'm advocating to those Christianity people out there.
Yeah.
If you believe, like, he had words of wisdom. He was a prophet with words. But he was black. And put in a time period where...
Civil rights and all that.
Yeah. So it's like you're being burdened. Now, is that just challenges we have to try and overcome? And the people that overcome that become great figures. Maybe we all have a challenge like that we have to pursue. It's the same thing when we're trying to get past racism. Maybe one of us out here is burdened with the gift of trying to pursue it, and that might end up being killed in the long run, or being turned into something that we don't want to be. It's much like you live long enough. You either live to be a hero, or you live long enough, or is it you die a hero and you live long enough to become the villain?
To see yourself become the villain, yeah.
That's
Harvey Dent.
That's something there. And Two-Face is literally a perfect like kind of symbolization of that, man.
Yeah.
We're coming to some good
Crazy
conclusions
times.
here, man.
Yeah.
Shit. Holy crap, dude, for real. Like, we start the conversation with like a joke, and then like you're like, what
And
are these
RuneScape.
guys just freaking ranting about? Like every topic we're getting on is like hitting. I think we're hitting onto some inner enlightenment moments, man. Where's one place if you could travel, you would travel to? Like if you could travel anywhere in the world.
I want to go back to Amsterdam because that was basically heaven on earth. I felt like.
Fucking pothead.
Not just for that, man. The architecture out there, the shops and restaurants, and there's a little bit of everything out there. I feel like that was like freedom. Like
I think the one place I
go to
would
Spain.
like to travel is ancient Greece, man. Just my fascination with the Greek
It's on my
statues
list
and architecture.
as well.
Dude. Those Parthenons and those temples and complexes, like it's just like, oh my god. You know, I say I'm not a big religion person, but I hear those tales and legends, and it's just like something of reading. Like it's like an old prehistoric comic book. Like comic books are basically modern, you know, Greek
Mythology,
tales and
yeah.
tragedies. And those are the only books I could get into in school. I'd read the ones because they had the shortest amount of pages, but it was a tale. You know, the Mayans, when they used to play that game where they used to kick the soccer ball or whatever it is, with like it was like a head or something. They used to kick
Right.
that. You know, they used to kill the winner.
Really?
You know why?
Why?
They would kill and eat the winner. So I'm like, Joe Rogan has a bit. He's like, that probably was the longest fucking soccer game because no one wanted to win. But it's like they were seen as like, if you died, you were a sacrifice to the gods, and then like they would eat you after they killed you because eating the blood and the
the
flesh
nourishment of
them
everyone else.
was like infusing their power into
Right.
him. You know, it's the same thing with General Butt Naked. He
Yeah.
used to eat babies of his like enemies and stuff so he could harness their natural power. But that was his belief, and everyone's like, he's just a sick war criminal. Yes, in our standards and our view, but down there, that's what they did. A lot of the warlords down there ate people, and they did cannibalism and stuff like that. And is that seen as that's only seen wrong in our eyes, but down there, that's seen as a rite of passage. That's seen
Normal.
as a right.
Yeah.
You know, he used to go around drunk. All he wore was a hat and leather straps on his feet. He fought naked with an AK-47. But him and his buddies would go drunk around town and capture teenagers, drag them underwater, and break their necks. That was their drunk fun thing to do. And like
Was
that's
General Butt Naked?
General Butt Naked was a warlord in Libya, South
What a guy.
Africa. I mean, he did a lot of good things. You know, we accept him here now. You know why?
Why?
Because he accepted Christianity. He became all about Christian. He realized
Come on in.
what he did was wrong, but everyone's like, "Oh, that guy's fucked up. He should still burn because you know, he just because he accepts Christianity, that's not a good thing." Or that's not like that can't be just acceptable that we can accept him for all his war crimes. Actually, he's came out in interviews and let everyone know he apologizes that he was uneducated and that was his belief at the time.
Wow.
He has literally gone like full circle. Like he goes, I will take a full 100% legality of my things. He goes, if they wish to give me the death sentence, then go ahead and give me the death sentence. Like he's so open to not like trying to just fall on the sword or anything, but he's open to, you know, being punished for his things. He realized like he felt like he was brainwashed in a bad way, and he realizes seems even though it's not the right way, but the way we live is the way we think. It's the moral compass in his eyes. That moral compass. Is the good one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's the whole aspect of morality. It's in so many different religions, so many different cultures, and they're all looked at differently. You know, what do we determine as good? What do we determine as bad? Where we see like, you know, a certain drink as being good or a certain thing as being good or, you know, something being bad. It's like that's all our opinions at the same time. But, you know, it's really weird when we all come under the same upbringing and culture that popularizes, like in society, the moral compass. Like, what's America's definition of good and bad versus Libya or South Africa?
Yeah, we're seeing it change. Like marijuana's example of that. So we've watched it from DARE in school, completely against it. Now states are legalizing it.
Yeah.
So the moral compass is shifting in
I
regard to that.
I think everyone's waking up to the fact that there's worse shit out there, and the stuff like the only reason you take a prescripted drug, like if someone told you this is meth, you know, it's gonna get rid of your headache. You want to take some meth? Yeah, you're gonna be like, no. But if I gave the name Mysobian triple methamphetamine or something like that, you'd be like, oh, it sounds like a prescriptive drug.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
fucking take it. It's all the image. We glass stuff up. It's the same thing like we do with people.
Good
We
point.
flash stuff up. We buy a new watch to look better. It's like that's what they're doing with medicines and shit. They're just giving it a fancy fucking name and shooting it in your face, man. Dude, I'm telling you, a lot of people need to wake up to some shit, dude. And I'm not even half educated. I know it might sound like we're hitting some points, but at the same time,
Always
it's like,
learning. I feel you.
yeah, it's like that's the best part about everything. That what they say, knowledge is power. It fucking is, man. It's definitely something like you don't want to sit and read a book. That's the whole reason I got into podcasting, is I can learn the same stuff from a book if someone's talking to me and having a conversation with me more in relative terms.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I like feeling the crinkle of a page every now and again, but it's like, shit, dude. Sometimes you need that like person to dumb it down for you. Like when Neil deGrasse Tyson talks, I can't even wrap my head around how he tries to educate people on that
What a
stuff.
badass.
But he says it in such a manner that's like he dumbs it down for you. But if you have Stephen Hawking trying to explain it to you, it's like he's trying to explain it to an ape or something. He's like, he's like speaking in words, you're sitting there with your mouth dropped, flies going in it. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is he talking about? But
Carl Sagan was good too.
Elon Musk, if you watch the Joe Rogan interview with him, everyone's like, he was really hard to follow. And even Joe Rogan was like, I thought he was going to be great on the podcast because he's explaining everything. He's like, I could not follow him. I had to keep asking him to repeat stuff.
Yeah.
And that's because he's not a good speaker. He's so smart. It's just like how I experience when I go to the gym at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. There's people that are too smart for society that seem like they can't function around in society, whether people just seem like they're too dumb and they're way too smart. Those are usually the smartest people you see at the gym. Is the person that doesn't want to talk to anybody because when they get in a conversation with anybody, they can't talk as good as I can talk. I'm not very educated, but I can talk about things I've learned or know about. And it's like...
Express it.
Yeah, I can express it better than someone that's like book smart or someone that's like a shy kid or nerd kid in school that we would consider to be a nerd. It's like that person might be like, yeah, and not be able to explain anything good. And then I can sit there and bam, rattle off a list. So it's like if we take those two things, like, have the mind of him and then the mouth of me, bam, next thing you know, you got a fucking modern day Hitler.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not. Maybe a modern day Martin Luther King or
Modern day Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Have an intelligible conversation without crashing Tesla's stock by $9 billion from smoking a joint and then raising it $20 million after saying it was a joint. I can do what I want on Elon Musk.
Right. They were drinking too.
Yeah, man.
They were hitting the whiskey.
That's weird because alcohol is differently looked at than.
Yeah, they can have 5 drinks,
marijuana.
But then 1 puff.
You know the government poisoned alcohol?
Really?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? In 1958, the government poisoned alcohol and killed like 400-something people. They poisoned... It was to get people to stop drinking it because they believed this certain area was becoming too influenced in alcohol consumption. Everybody was becoming day drunks. Like, you see the guy passed out on the ground in the middle of the street at like 9 in the morning.
Waiting up front of the liquor store.
Yeah. And it's like, damn, the government was trying to control it, and they were like slowly poisoning. People were getting so massively sick, they were throwing up, and like it was like blood coming out and everything. It was ridiculous.
Ugh.
It's just like
take my jacket off there.
I'll make you sweat on that one. Yeah, it's just crazy to think that we can all go that far down into like, what does the government? How far do they go to intervene on stuff? They do some crazy shit, but they do some good stuff too. Or they look at like, hell, if they lower the gas prices, I will considerably 100% join the government and congratulating all of them. But like we had Operation Paperclip where we captured Nazi soldiers. After we won the war, and it was split up between Russia, all these people we took like 2,000 something scientists, and we used them in our programs. But also, they had a space program where they hung every day the 5 slowest Jews. They hung them. And we forgive them because we're getting their research. We forgive people for Project Sunshine, testing radiation on the corpses of loved ones. Without telling the loved ones, saying during the Cold War, saying it was an act of just casualty of war, saying it was just caused a war. But like
unnecessary.
We find out all these
sacrifice.
secrets that even the president is the one that ends up taking it out or something. Where they're like, I didn't know this was going on. Like, there's stuff going on where we talk about the Illuminati or the New World Order or something, like
Behind
those
the
giant
scenes.
conspiracy theories.
Mm.
There's a all-working puppet where we look at the president. No man should have all that power to run the world. He's not really running it.
Mm.
He's like the stage guy.
Mm.
He's the guy that like makes the public decisions, but who's the inner clock guy that's moving the strings to that puppet? You know, it's where we fall on the lines of Illuminati. I definitely think it's real, man. I definitely think there's some dark working shadows in it. I don't think it's like American Dad where they had the Peanut. Mr. Peanut was in the Illuminati. It was like a peanut Illuminati. I don't believe that. Like, but the whole idea of thinking that there's a giant hidden force out there that's controlling all of us, it's not in the realm of not possibility, man.
At this point,
like there's articles coming out now where people are like the moon landing was fake. There's a lot of stage stuff on it, dude. There really is. If you start looking that's why I'm saying if you educate yourself on a topic you don't know about, research something, you learn stuff, man, and you can decide for yourself. Stop hearing all the one-sided shit from CBS, BBC, or just like stuff that's obviously one-sided or jaded to one side. You got to get both aspects, both opinions. I can relate it to this aspect. You hear an argument between two people. What are you going to do? You going to side with the person you favor the most? Probably. But what's the smart option? You listen to the story and decide for yourself. Make your own damn opinion. Get both facts from both people. Don't just sit there and be like...
both perspectives into consideration.
What happened to one person? No. You know what a cop does? They ask both sides of the story.
Right.
Even the person that might have murdered somebody or might have caused a disturbance. They get both sides of what happens because everyone's looking at a different fucking perspective.
Angle, yeah.
So why the hell do we accept standards of what other people justify if we all have a different damn perspective?
It's not always black and white.
I'm making you fucking think. You should have came in here stoned. I feel like I'm
surprised I'm not.
DMT. I feel like I'm on a DMT trip right now, man. I feel like every time I podcast with somebody and we get into these conversations and stuff, you feel the inner workings of your brain start thinking deeper and deeper.
The knobs turning.
It's crazy to think because, like, right when you're like, we might as well just end the podcast, it's like, no, you uncover some more shit. It's like fucking finding $20 in your jeans or you're digging a hole in the middle of the sand and next thing you know you find buried treasure. You're like, shit, what's even deeper? Fucking China's down there.
China is.
That's why I say this podcast is literally like a fortune cookie. You know why I say that?
Why?
You don't know why? You're supposed to be listening to my episodes. No. It's because it's on the episode with Brian Yunt.
Okay.
It's like we get down to the mystery in the cookie.
Oh, okay.
I feel like at the ending of the podcast, if we haven't cracked the shell and read the little Chinese fortune, then the podcast didn't come to a success. It's hard because sometimes it's hard to. I'm just like I find myself having such a random personality that we can click. Yeah. And, a lot of people always ask me, "Why don't you do a podcast about yourself?" No. Like I said, it's a conversation between me and you. So you want to ask me questions about what I like and stuff. I'm more than happy to answer, but I'm not going to focus on me. I want to know what your thoughts are, and I'm going to tell my own in the process.
Yeah, along the way.
But doing a podcast about me, like a biography, I'm not that fucking selfish. I'm not that egotistical.
It's good if people are curious enough, though. It's good to express that.
You want to know what I like?
Huh? What do you like?
Taking shits. Netflix.
Shits
and
Netflix.
people's stories. That's about it. Yeah, if I could just live off a podcast recorder and maybe some Jell-O. Jell-O's pretty good.
Yeah.
Some fruit.
You got a flavor you like better than the others, or
strawberry or black cherry?
Black
only two
cherry.
flavors of the Jell-O I like to get. And cream soda. I mean,
yeah.
Crack that bitch open.
Where's that bad boy at?
This is a podcast symbol.
Let's go.
And take a sip and tell me what your real thoughts on it are. Because I have only had one person not like it, and I swear to God I was blown away because everybody I've interviewed has love of cream soda.
I do love. Oh, that's good.
Fucking smooth, right?
Mm.
It doesn't give that bloated feeling a Diet Coke does, or like a diet like real popularized diet drink does. I think it's because in the bottom of it doesn't have a lot of aspartame in it,
Okay, that'll do it.
which does that
It
bloating
says gluten
effect.
free on it. That's wild.
It's gluten free?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm going keto. No. Well, dude, like, I mean, this isn't a great podcast. I don't even know how long this has been going on.
Yeah, where we at?
We got an hour and 15 minutes.
Ooh.
Dude. It's not bad, man.
Yeah.
You want to
not
keep
bad.
going? Or you what?
I'm chatting. I'm cool.
Alright, man. Well, I mean, shit. You
I'm
got
enjoying.
the cream soda. Enjoy it, dude. It's like I'm saying, man. It's just there's stuff about like the world and how we view shit. I really want to get onto that, man, because like it's nuts, dude, to think that we have so much potential for greatness, and you know, we always talk about being what's the perfect race, what's the perfect image, what's the perfect level, what's enlightenment. You know, countries think of it different. Egypt thought if you reached enlightenment when you put yourself in a coffin and mummified in a coffin alive and didn't eat for like 3 weeks or something and did that and basically died with an empty stomach. You'd reach a sense of enlightenment when you got to like a spiritual plane or something. Is the spiritual plane a thing? Is that something that's there? Much when we concede like the idea of heaven, is that just people's belief that there's that they've lived? Like, how is that even created? Is it that we live so long that we realize the world kind of is a little bit like a drain in a way? It's definitely a drag, man. I mean, we all have an expiration date, but what do you want to do until your expiration date comes? You know? Whether that day is today or tomorrow. You got to find your true passion. A lot of people don't pursue it, whether things or obstacles come up
Your
that they feel
legacy.
like they can't pass. You know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I've left the world without hitting a certain mark.
Right.
You know, when someone tells me that they had a great time on my podcast and they love being on, they want to do it again.
Yeah.
I feel like I left a mark. Like I
Yeah.
feel like I left a good memory for you.
Well, I feel
you
that
will-
way,
You will
so-
always have. Like
Yeah.
you'll be home or wherever you're going in life, and like maybe 5-10 years from now, you hear it, you just think about that one moment we had, and like, shit, dude, that was awesome. You know, we could
Yeah.
have many more. It's just like. It's something that you're gonna remember when you're either on your deathbed or you're talking to your kids. It's gonna be a story that's out there. My recordings are going up on the internet. It's a beautiful thing that's up on the internet. It's in history. It's in the
Documented.
books. It doesn't get it's happened. You know, even if I don't put it up there, the conversation has happened to me and you. So it's stained in our history. It's stained in our memory.
I told this girl
Yeah.
earlier, it's like doing a porno with my words. It's going to be out there
Exactly,
forever.
It's like a masterpiece. You're literally showing your dick to everyone,
Right.
and you're showing that
Just whipping
your,
it out.
Your mind's a dick. Well, you talked about the podcast. This girl saying you're going to be on it.
Yeah, I said I was kind of nervous.
Why were you nervous?
Because it's, like you're saying, it's like forever. It's like, documented, you know? I don't want to say anything dumb.
Just don't say anything that might be incriminating that you don't want people to know. Like you went to a
Then you're
strip
good.
club and did blow off a stripper's ass. I mean, I've had people on my
Not
podcast
recently.
mention they do meth and cocaine before, and one woman said it was like crack on the weekends. I've had a bunch of people that have opened up
Oh,
about
Lord.
crack. I'm like, how do you want to display yourself? I rather display myself in the real image. I like to take shits. I like to eat food. Like, you know, I like to work out. You know, I got some problems in my past, and like, I don't mind mentioning them. It's like, I don't want to walk around with a disguise. I feel like too many people lie all the time about who they truly are, and they wear a mask. And it brings to the same idea of when you're dating somebody for a year, and then you get married to them, and they're a completely different person. They change personalities. It's what causes breakups and stuff like that. It's like, I didn't know you were like that. Well, this is the real me. You got to get over it. It's like, oh my God, like, I fell in love with the disguise. I fell in love with the Two-Face. You don't want to be Two-Face. You want to be open-face all the time. You want to be open to everyone's interpretation.
Honest, yeah.
I want your interpretation of me to be, that's Robbie, man.
Yeah.
Everyone, when they describe me, that's just Robbie. Like, that's just Robbie. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean that's just Robbie? Get to know him. You'll know.
Right.
That's Robbie. Like, shit, that's how everyone has literally, like,
Robbie's
characterized me. I'm like, I'm glad I have that. I'm glad I can be that person. I try and make it
That's
as good
good.
as possible, but there's definitely times I wake up, you know, someone's like, it's 4 o'clock in the morning waking me up. I'm like, no, God, get out. No, fuck. Like, you know, I definitely get mad, but it's like, I try my best to
days.
either apologize and kind of come to the conclusion, like, I don't want to be looked at in a bad way, man. You don't want to be looked at as an Adolf Hitler. Be looked at as a Martin Luther.
Right.
So how do you want to look, Rob?
Positive influence.
Do you want to look like a hipster? Or do you want to look like... Jesus Christ in a robe.
I'm still feeling it out. I'm just trying to have some goals and.
You gotta sand down those edges, brother.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to.
What's one goal you wish to obtain?
Well, that certification. I just got a place to stay in Virginia, so that's a goal knocked out. I got a little to-do list, man.
But you're smart planning though, right? You're not doing the dumb planning like, I want to have $1 million. Like, okay, what the hell are you gonna do to
But
get
how?
there?
But how? There's steps
it feels
along
like
the way.
so many people just they know the goal and the ending thing. All right, that's easy to do. We can all see the finish line. But what steps are you gonna take to get to that finish line?
Right.
You know, when it gets hard, are you gonna pursue farther?
And what?
You fail your certification test. You gonna take it again?
Of course.
Are you gonna study harder?
Of course.
There you go.
I'm trying to take notes and.
What steps are you gonna do? How much time do you wish to invest? You get what you put out. I mean, you get what.
Get what you give.
Yeah, you get what you give. So it's like, what are you willing to put in to get out of it, man?
That's something I've been working on lately. We all have our ceilings, and breaking through those ceilings.
Breaking down the wall for sure.
Right. I'm
We all
bad at
get
making
lazy,
ceilings of
man.
myself, yeah.
We all get lazy.
Yeah.
It's when we find a comfortability zone. Sometimes we don't like to leave that comfort zone, but
And that's human.
it's
We get comfortable. We
you
want to
get-
preserve our energy.
it's nice to be comfortable, but
Mhm.
you wanna go out and experience things too.
Mhm.
You can't just leave yourself closed off, because you leave
Right.
yourself closed off, you're not doing anybody any benefit.
In a box,
If you
yeah.
can't put your image or your beautiful creativity out there, then what's the world gonna come to, man? What are we gonna be just closed off, or we're all gonna be looking the same, walking around like it's gonna be like everyone looks the same, everyone acts the same, everyone's got the bland personality. Hi, how you doing? It's like, what
Good.
happened?
Going to work today.
Well, I'm
Can't wait
going
till
to
the
work,
weekend.
going home. Probably do the same thing tomorrow. It's
Right.
like, where's the fucking
It's
flavor,
just
man?
all gray.
It's like eating a bland cereal like Raisin Bran.
Yeah.
All it's doing is stopping me from masturbating. It's not freaking giving me that passion or spark I want.
Yeah, that Raisin Bran Crunch, though.
Can you believe that sick bastard?
Yeah, that's pretty fucked.
It's like the picture I saw of the anti-masturbation cross. They had a kid strapped to a plank
was
with
that?
his arms like this, and it was like a Christian thing they did.
Yeah.
And they would strap the kid's arms and like basically like Jesus, like that, and they would strap him to
Just
a
picture,
board
yeah.
and keep him there. It was supposed to stop him from masturbating.
Oh my
Because they tie it
gosh.
down.
What about the no fap movement?
What's that?
Like no fapping, no masturbating. It was like people
Oh
were
my
making
God.
videos on it, 30 days of no
See a
fat
bowl of Raisin
progress.
Bran and get over it.
Right.
First of all, I eat a lot of Raisin Bran. I'm telling you, my jack off has not stopped. I'll eat a bowl of fucking Raisin Bran and go upstairs if I have to.
Right. And it's slowing you down.
I'll eat it in front of my Raisin Bran. No, but it's like in Africa, they do the thing. They put the rings around the neck.
Yeah,
They
and
do
like
that?
extend it.
If they took those off, their head would fall off.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Their neck couldn't
It's
support.
also with your ears. When people do the giant piercings of circles, that shit don't go back.
Yeah, gauges.
That doesn't happen. I'm talking about the real like African rings where the ear gets
The
all
big
dragged
ones,
out and
yeah.
everything like that. It doesn't grow back.
They
That
gotta like,
doesn't
surgically get it.
Yeah, that doesn't happen. It's really like hard to think like how far are you gonna take yourself to change and not be able to go back? Do you want to go back? Is the true question. But some people get so. It's where we talk about cultures, man. We get so it's so different everywhere, and it's like what's seen as the moral compass, the right and the wrong, and wherever we're at. Where do you feel like you're at in life? Do you feel like you're following the right path or following the wrong one?
I've been taking some big steps lately, so it feels good, man.
You feel like you're headed in the right direction?
Mm-hmm. Definitely being born and raised in the same area. It's good. Talking about getting out of your comfort zone. I definitely took a big jump.
Yeah, going to Germany and doing that
Phew.
stuff was a giant jump, man.
I'm glad I did. It was.
But you're glad to be back.
Yeah. I want to go back there, but I am eventually mid-30s maybe. But I'm definitely glad to be back too. It's good. Definitely gave me a different perspective on the States.
That's why they say no place like home. That's the
Yeah.
true meaning of that, man.
Yeah,
'Cause
America.
definitely when you're like, I want to fucking get out of here forever. You miss it. Because it's like you have something there for so long, and then it's like, much like we say, you don't know what you have until it's gone.
Yeah, I was talking some shit on the States before I left, but I'm glad to be back after
Man,
seeing the other side of it.
Obviously, man, because you're so captivated and entrapped in all of what's going on, all the bullshit around here. It's like, but then you take that break and you're like, I do miss that bullshit a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be the same thing. Like you hear the buzzing of the fridge, and you're finally getting a new fridge. Then you miss that buzzing. You end up trying to bang on it, trying to get the buzzing back. It's
Where'd
like,
that noise go? Yeah.
yeah. There's just certain things about that, man. It's a crazy thing about life, dude. We don't know what we have until it's gone, and it's like, what I guess two major things is, what are we taking in our life to really get us to where we need to be? What goals, steps are we taking? Make sure you're taking the right ones.
Huge. Yeah. Make good choices.
Well, Rob, I really appreciate you being on this podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
You have a wonderful name.
You as well, my man.
I really, it's been a long time coming. I've been asking you for months that we needed to do this, and we finally, you got back from Germany. I remember I was like, dude, I'm going to ask him to do my podcast. I just started. You're like, I can't, bro. I'm headed to Germany for 4 months.
About to roll out.
Fuck! It's like, it's cool because we finally got it going, and I was like, I need to make sure this happens. Like, this is going to happen. We need to plan it out. We need to do it. And you're like, dude, we're going to do it. I'm like, you don't bullshit me. We're going to do it. And we did it, man.
We had a goal. We manifested that shit.
We said it. Just like everyone can take that in life, You got to get gas in your car. Just go fucking do it.
Yeah.
Get out and get moving. Nike has the best quote. Just do it.
Do it.
But fuck Nike. But everyone's got a goal out there. Go pursue it. And if you pursue it, you'll definitely get it done. But what steps are you going to take to get it done? What are you going to sacrifice? What are you going to put in the time to do to get those goals going? Well, thanks, Rob, for being on the podcast. And
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll have you again on soon.
Yeah, most definitely.